morning, Fairhaven. All right, so you are all the way. That's good. This morning we usually do the raising of the flag. That's not going to be done this morning due to the inclement weather that's heading our way. We talked about it. John Medeiros and his committee talked about it, so we're not going to raise it this morning. Sorry about that. One thing we won't be doing. The next thing we'll be doing, we'll be having the high school band play. I want to thank our militia for that. You guys are the best. Next, I'm going to ask Larry to come up and read a Veterans Day prayer for us.
Good morning on this Veterans Day. Nice to see all of you here. All right, this is the title of Veterans Day prayer. Let us pray. Dear Lord, I have served my country. My love for her is strong. I've stood behind Old Glory when others thought her wrong. I've joined in celebration and raised a toast and cheer. I pledged her allegiance and sung her anthem dear. I've wept for fallen comrades who proudly fought and died. The freedoms they defended, I cherish deep inside. I'm proud I'm an American. For her strength and peace, I pray. There is no greater country. God bless the USA. Thank you.
Next, I'll be reading the Governor's Proclamation. Where since the Commonwealth colonial days, thousands of men and women have served our country in defense of freedom and liberty. And whereas on November 11th, 1918, the armistice was signed in the forest of Champagne by the Allied nations in Germany during ending World War I, the war to end all wars, after 4 years of conflict. And whereas since that day, every November, AZAC people from around the nation have gathered to honor our veterans. And whereas there are approximately 300,000 veterans living in Massachusetts. And whereas today we are reminded of the great sacrifices and contributions our veterans have made to our country. And whereas we honor and salute those who served our country throughout the generations with honor, patriotism, and courage. And whereas it is appropriate that all Massachusetts citizens remember the bravery of those who served their country, so that their dedication and sacrifices serve as a reminder of the cost of our freedom. And whereas in November 2022, the world will commemorate the 104th anniversary of the armistice that ended the fighting in World War I at 11 a.m., November 11th, 1918, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Now, therefore, I, Charles D. Baker, Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, do hereby proclaim November 11th, 2022 to be Veterans Day. So next, we're going to have our guest speaker come up here, Dorothea Machado. She's probably the oldest living female veteran in Fairhaven. She's the young 99 years old.
Oh, gosh.
She wanted to run up here.
I did. Thank you, Brad. Good morning, everyone. A short while ago, Mr. Brad Fisher, our veterans officer, approached me and he said, you know, you're the oldest veteran from Fairhaven. Of course, I was very surprised by that. One, I don't feel old, and one, all my friends and relatives tell me, you don't look that old. Maybe they were trying to make me feel good. At any rate, here I am, and I have a few thousand words to tell you. But we will backtrack to 1943. I was 20 years old. The war in Europe and Japan seemed a million miles away. But my great ambition was to be an airline stewardess, and I wanted to work for TWA. I had read and heard so much about Mr. Howard Hughes and his accomplishments that I wanted to be an airline stewardess with the TWA. So I went to Boston, and the interview went very well, and I was quite excited about the fact. And then of course, I was rejected. They told me that you had to be 5 feet 2 inches tall. I only measured 5 feet 1. So I left that building very discouraged and disappointed. But honestly, that was the biggest break that I ever got, because I went into another building and entered it, and there was a poster of Uncle Sam, and he was pointing right at me. I want you. So I entered. I went in. Another setback. They were taking women to release men for sea duty, and they wanted the woman to be 21. I was only 20. But I gathered all the papers, because they told me, if you have your parents' consent, we will accept you at 20 years of age. So I gathered all my papers and came home, filled them out, and just wrote my mother's name. My mother was a recent immigrant from the Azores Islands, and she never had the opportunity of going to school, so she could never read or write. So I signed her name, and I turned it in, and before you know it, I was called to go into boot camp at Hunter College, and I was so excited. So that was the biggest break that I ever got, being rejected by the airlines and going into the service. Of course, I love to travel, so I chose the Navy. So I went to the boot camp, 6 weeks of isolation. I could not leave that base for 6 weeks, and I could never have friends or relatives come in. But I was quite happy, because I realized that by my joining into the service, I would be releasing a man that had a desk job for duty overseas where the war was engaging. So after 6 weeks of training, I was given the rating of Seaman Second Class, and I was assigned to the U.S. Navy base, submarine base at New London, Connecticut. I reported to the security officer, and my duties were, in addition to clerical work, my duties were, I photographed all the ID passes for the military personnel and their families to come in and out of the base. So I learned a little bit about photography at that time. And then it was very pleasant. I spent 2 years at the submarine base in New London, Connecticut. And so I told you I had about 1,000 words to talk about. And it was a wonderful experience, but I honestly, I kept thinking about whatever happened to that young man that I released for sea duty. And to this day, I don't know what happened. Anyway, I was honorably discharged from the service December 1, 1945, and I took advantage of the GI Bill of Rights, and I went to Suffolk University and got my Bachelor of Arts degree in English. I did finally get to California. I did finally work many, many years for Hughes Aircraft Company. No, I'd never met Howard Hughes. By then he had become eccentric, etc., as we all know, but it was quite an experience. I got a top secret clearance, and I worked on the government contracts for Vietnam. And I'm no hero. I was never sent overseas. I was never put in harm's way, but I felt that my small duty did enable some young man, a sailor in my particular case, and all I can think about is that I did the right thing at the right time. And so I love the Navy, and I'm very proud to be a veteran. Thank you very much.
Would you mind standing up here for a few more minutes? I want to get you your cane. You stand over there. You sure? Stay right there.
What's going on?
Station.
Hi, everyone. Thank you very much. I'm Stacia Powers. I'm the chair of the Fairhaven Select Board. On behalf of the Fairhaven Select Board, I'd like to say thank you and welcome to the Veterans Day, our annual Veterans Day Parade. Another applause for Dorothea. She is pretty amazing. And I hope I look that good at 99.
Thank you.
Good. Excellent speech. I need notes. She doesn't.
No.
Great job. I'd like to thank Brad Fish for all the work, and his team for all the work that they do to pull off this amazing event every year. They start planning early, and he and his lovely assistant Jane, who is also a wonderful asset to our town, they do great work and help our veterans every day, and we are so grateful for them and their work. So thank you. I'm going to keep it really short, but I'd like to say thanks to all our veterans and their families for their sacrifice for our country to ensure the freedom we enjoy every day. And we wish everyone a happy and safe Veterans Day. And God bless America and all of you who have served us proudly. Thank you.
Okay, next, we are going to do a proclamation to a woman named Dorothea Machado. You know who that is?
I've heard of her. Thank you.
The proclamation reads, served her country in the Navy during World War II. After completing 6 weeks of training at the U.S. Navy Basic Naval School in Bronx, New York, and subsequently stationed at submarine base in New London, Connecticut. And at the Army/Air Force headquarters at the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. from 1942 to 44, where she was involved in critical security work. Dorothy Machado paved the way for women in the service by her stellar example in the waves, women accepted for volunteer emergency services. Long before women were allowed to go to war zones. She earned a rating of Seaman First Class and then Yeoman Third Class. Moreover, through her diligency and sharp intelligence, she earned the respect of all those around her. Dorothea Machado participated in 1991 in the honor flight arranged by the U.S. Department of Defense to acknowledge and celebrate service members who secured our freedom. She was flown on a VIP charter to our nation's capital and escorted to the National World War II Memorial and other sites where she and other veterans, many in their 90s, were hotly applauded. Dorothy Machado completed a degree at Suffolk University and traveled extensively throughout Europe to see firsthand the war's aftermath and the rebuilding effort underway. She brought the skills she acquired an expansive world view back to her hometown of Fairhaven, where she continues to be a positive influence on her community. Dorothy Machado maintained her lifelong civic participation, walking well into her 90s in Fairhaven's Veterans Parade until COVID postponed the parades. Now at the age of 99, she walks almost daily at the Council on Aging, which I do see her, and inspires those much younger than herself to her self-sufficient can-do spirit. Now, therefore, we, the undersigned, do hereby proclaim our sincere appreciation to Dorothy Machado for her civic engagement and for the example she has consistently modeled to all of our citizens by championing a better world to her country and her community. And I just want to say one more thing. Kathy Delano, your friend, started this whole process.
I want to know.
She started
I
all
want
this.
to know,
So
how did you get all that information?
it wasn't easy.
Goodness.
You're always on the move. It's not easy.
Thank you so much.
So they're going to pass down your proclamation from each one of the board members and the town administrator.
Goodness. What a joy. What an honor. Thank you, Brad. Yeah. And that's for you. Can you take that from me? Okay. I will just do it. That's beautiful. It's wonderful. I'm looking forward to my being a centennial and being 100 years old in 2023 with good health. Yes, God bless you.
She's excited about 2023 to be in the parade again, so it's all about Dorothea.
Thank you, Brad. I don't know why I fell. Oh, there you go. Yeah, you're so nice. There's something else.
Okay, the town of Fairhaven, that kind of concludes our ceremonies for today in the parade. The VFW at 11:30 will be serving food free of charge to veterans, family members, and anybody else who would like to go over there. So feel free to take a walk over there. And thank you for everybody that participated today and for all the help that I received, and of course, Mrs. Betancourt.
Thank you everybody for coming out today. We are so excited to be back live and in person with everyone. I really want to shout out Coastline for cooking our meal today. All Trust Bank for making a donation to cover the cost of those meals today. And to Vitra Healthcare for covering the cost of our entertainment after lunch today. I'd also like to thank all of our veterans who are here today and their spouses or significant others and partners who are here to help celebrate with you today. I'd also like to thank our town administrator and our select board for coming out. And I just want you all to enjoy this lovely meal that we have planned for you today. And without further ado, Brad and I have, the Lions Club is going to make a presentation to Brad and I.
Don't all jump up at once.
Bob, we rehearsed that. Sit down. You want us to build up the suspense?
No, not yet, not yet. You're gonna do that first.
Look at the banners first.
Yep. What you doing first?
Lions have a thing, it's called a friendship flag. What it is when we have a friend that we respect and honor, we give them a flag, and it's basically got the club logo and a little thank you on it. So we're presenting this one to Brad Fish. Thank you.
Same banner here, a small club with a big service, it says, and incorporated in 1944, the Lions Club here in Fairhaven. So this is for the Council on Aging.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay, next we've had a flag donated to the Council on Aging. John Medeiros came by my office last week about this flag, and it is from
Oxford School.
Oxford School. It was taken out of there before it went to become a mess. So, what we're going to do sort of a military presentation here with the flag. And we're going to start off where I grab the flag, I hand it to Bill, who's the president of the Lions Club. He hands it off to Martha, who's receiving the new flag. It's like a change of command. She'll give it back to me. I'll put it back in its holder here, and we'll all rise if you can, and we'll say, yeah, Pledge of Allegiance. Sorry, it's been a long day. Come stand here, bud. And you guys gotta face each other.
Watch the ceiling.
Watch the ceiling, Brad, and the projector.
Come this way, we have a projector. Come down a little bit more. Let's not have an incident here. All right, I present it to you. Please rise if you can. If you can. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America